And welcome to SEC Sports Roundtable. This is your host, Shane Bailey. I have with me the owner of Tennessee Kettle Bell, Matt McBryde, Arkansas Razorback fan. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you.
Glad you could make it. It's been a long time. Podcast has been about a year old. Just celebrated at the end of June. June 30th was our first podcast last year, and I've been dying to get you on ever since. And I know that with Arkansas preview week this week, it was a perfect time to get you in. So glad we could make our schedules work and have you show up for us. Appreciate that so much.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
We're going to get right into things this week and cover some housekeeping issues like we normally do. Just get those out of the way. If you've stumbled upon this, there's lots of ways to find us. We're on the web at www.SECSportsRoundtable.com, on Facebook at SECSRT. That's also our Twitter handle, SECSRT. Don't forget, if you want to watch this, we do stream this live on Ustream, as well as on our YouTube channel, SECSRT. If you have not realized that theme yet, it's widely pronounced throughout everything we have. So if you can't figure out what SECSRT is standing for, you probably need to just go on and hit stop. But we're also on Stitcher Radio. It's a great way to stream or listen to these podcasts. If you don't have an iPhone or an Apple device or not a fan of the Apple products, but we are on the iTunes store in our podcast section under SEC Sports Roundtable. So that's about all the ways we can think of right off the top of our head. There's probably a few we're leaving out, but lots of ways to listen in so that you can see what's going on. We also do some updates through the week, some polls on our Facebook and our webpage. So make sure you're checking those out, telling us what you like, what you don't like, so we can make this more user-friendly, get what you want, and so we can get that out to you so you guys can be happy. But, like we always do, we do SEC news first, and it's just a slow week right now. It's a slow time of year in the SEC, so we're going to get right into things and forego any SEC news and go straight into our two games. It is two-a-days, so what we're doing over these 7 weeks, we have two teams, one from each conference, one East opponent, one West opponent. What we've done is what we believe to be their natural rivals that are going to be, because there's going to be one West opponent that'll always stay on the schedule. And so last week we did our first one, and we think that went pretty well. It was Auburn and Georgia. Have previewed those, so if you're interested in one of those two schools, you're welcome to go back and listen to that podcast. But this week up is, of course, if you haven't figured out, we're going to have Arkansas. But we're going to lead things off with the East opponent, and that's going to be Missouri. And, lots of changes have happened in Missouri, not to mention the biggest is probably that they've joined the SEC. They've come from a conference to the big table, I guess, to play with the big boys. They've done pretty well. Their head coach is Gary Pinkel. I think that's how you say that. But if you look at his record, I think he went 9-2 against the SEC, and a stat I also saw was he went 5-1 against the other new opponent, the SEC, A&M. So he's had some success, and I don't think all of those came with his time at Missouri. But he's done well against the SEC, but he's going to be playing them 8 times this year. So what he did for his overall record is going to almost be matched in 1 to 2 seasons if you take A&M's record in there and combine it. So it's going to be a completely different ball game for him, and he's got a completely different team. And we were talking beforehand, about some of those changes. And James Franklin, not the coach of Vanderbilt, but the quarterback. There's still some question marks lingering for him. How healthy is he going to be? There's the fact that I think it was a preseason or a spring game, he wasn't able to hold on to the football and fumbled it, and in the pile, had to have shoulder surgery because of an injury he suffered there. And we don't know what's going to happen there. We don't know when he's going to come back. But, looking at the schedule, I think that they have Georgia their second week. So they start SEC week 2. It's going to be at Missouri. But, when you're in the East, you're playing in the East, every game's important. For them to battle and to do well, they're going to have to come out and really have a chance to win that game. And Georgia needs that game as well because they're going to be competing to have the East title. But that's going to be a big game for them.
Yeah, it's obviously their SEC debut. It's good that they get that game at home. At least that'll give them a little bit of a boost. I'm sure they'll be jacked up for that. Watching James Franklin last year, He's a very good quarterback. Makes a lot of nice plays. Is mobile. Pretty good arm. I think that that offensive line has their work cut out for them this season. They're going to have to protect Franklin. Last year they had some issues with that. This year they're going to have to be better. Logically, if you think about playing in the SEC, they're probably going to be pressured a lot. A lot of pressure up front to try to, cut the head off the chicken, so to speak. I mean, if Franklin goes down, it's going to be difficult for Missouri to have that much success offensively. But he does have some good players to work with. Obviously, Missouri did sign arguably the number one prospect in the country at the wide receiver position, Beckham.
How'd that make you feel?
It really didn't bother me at all.
Because he was going. There was a chance he was going to Arkansas for a long time, right?
Sure. I mean, it really came down to those two schools. But I don't get too wound up with where 17 and 18-year-old kids are going to go to college. I mean, I wish him well. I hope he's successful. He's a great player. James Franklin's going to have to get the football in his hands.
Yeah.
And if so, they could have some success. Defensively, they lost some key players on defense, but it kind of like in a situation where you look at where Pinkel's offensive philosophy is it's very progressive. They put the ball in the air quite a bit, spread their players out. They want to spread the defense out. So offensively, they may be able to put up some points, which is nice. But in the SEC, it also comes down to defense.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see how their defense performs in the Southeastern Conference, because obviously, it is going to be quite a step up from what they're used to, but based upon the fact they are in the SEC now, and also with what they lost in the offseason.
Yeah, and they also have somewhat of a running game, I think. Lawrence is back. He played towards the end of last season, but he missed most of 11 with a fractured fibula or something. Mm-hmm. So he was their starter, came back and performed nicely, but they've got a decent run game there. Like you said, it's all going to be about that timing. How many points can they? And you've seen this in the SEC time and time again. Mm-hmm. How the team with the most points is going to win. Who scores last doesn't always play in the SEC. The Big 12, you can play that game. Who scores the most and who scores last wins. With the defensive matchups they're going to have on their schedule, I mean, they've got, if you look at it, though, I'm just glancing down, they've got a pretty easy go in the SEC if you look at it from what could have been. They don't have Alabama. They don't have LSU. They have Georgia. They have South Carolina. They don't have Arkansas, or they do have Arkansas.
No, they do not. They do not play Arkansas
they don't
this
play
year.
Arkansas.
I thought they played Alabama this year. Are you sure that? Look on the schedule there.
Oh, you're right. It's at home. So they do face Alabama, but they've got Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Florida. So if you look at if you had to rank them, the only Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Auburn aren't in the mix. But other than that, everybody else that's going to allow them to score some points and play their kind of game is going to be there. So that's going to help them come bowl time, mm-hmm. Because there's a good shot for them to end 8-4, 7-5. I think when we look at that here in a few minutes as we break down that week by week matchup and see where we think they might end up. But if you look at that, I think they favored a little better than A&M, and we'll cover those guys in a few weeks. But as far as their first year in, I think A&M's schedule is going to match up a little bit tougher than Missouri's. And Missouri's, has the luck to be in the East. And there's always that seesaw back and forth. But for the last few years, it's the West that's had the dominant side of the conference. Florida's been down. Tennessee's been down. Georgia, aside from last year, they've been down somewhat. And South Carolina's starting to rise up. But they're still not the powerhouses that you have where you've got national titles coming from Auburn, and now they've slipped back a little bit. But you've got Alabama, LSU, and Arkansas that you would have to try to climb in the West. So they've got an easier climb, but I don't know if they're going to be able to compete for the East this year. They might still be a couple years away from looking at that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a difficult transition, but I do agree that they'll probably fare a little bit better than Texas A&M. Texas A&M had a lot of losses too, to their team. So
Tannehill.
That'll make things difficult for them as well. You know, if you look at Missouri's schedule, I mean, they've got 4 non-conference games. You know, 3 of those non-conference games, I think, you know, should relatively be easy. They really only have 1 tough non-conference game. I believe that's Arizona State, which comes after Georgia. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Which that is a home game for them. They played Arizona State last year on the road. So if Missouri can win their 4 non-conference games and then, you know, win maybe 3 games in the SEC.
That's got them 7 wins.
That's got them 7 wins.
Yeah.
They are at South Carolina.
Let's just go break it down then.
Sure.
Let's go do that. So you're going to give them Southeast Louisiana. That's where they start.
Yeah.
What about hosting Georgia?
I think they'll lose.
I think so too. Especially even if Franklin's back, I don't think he's going to be 100%. Coming off shoulder surgery, a quarterback's so dependent upon that. And Georgia, you know, you're looking at a possibly 10-11 win season for them. So I can't give them that win either. Arizona State, I think you conceded the loss to Arizona State there.
In my mind, that's a push. I think that'll probably be a fairly even matchup, but they are at home. So I actually think Missouri can win that game.
What about South Carolina? They're traveling to South Carolina.
Yeah, I think they're going to lose that one.
UCF at UCF, Central Florida.
It's an interesting game there. If you look at Missouri's road schedule, if there's ever a time they need a road win, early on in the year would be good. I'm actually gonna give them a win there, a very close game.
Then they've got 3 at home. Vanderbilt.
I'm gonna say win.
Alabama.
Loss.
Kentucky.
Win.
Dang. Florida.
Loss.
Tennessee.
Loss.
Syracuse.
They're at home against Syracuse?
They are at home against Syracuse.
Yeah. Syracuse, didn't Syracuse go to a bowl last year? They were a little bit better last season, I think. They've kind of improved, but they have been down the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I'm going to say win.
A&M.
That is at Texas
College
A&M.
Station.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I'm going to say loss.
So that's got them 6-6.
Okay.
So, and some of those could go either way.
It could.
You know, when you look at it, originally, like we said, 7, 5, 8, and 4 is possible, but it's easily 6-6 or the opposite. You know, 5 and 7. I mean, they could potentially, with that schedule, as easy as that matchups can be, there's still a chance that they could end up not going to a bowl game.
Yeah, and again, going back to James Franklin, if he stays healthy, Missouri could certainly win more than 6 games. It's possible. But if he does get hurt, I think that Missouri's going to be in some trouble. I mean, I think he makes them go on offense, and like I said before, he's going to be responsible for getting the football in the hands of their playmakers.
Yeah, and also the running back, Lawrence, he's going to have to stay healthy. Last year he went out, and I forgot who his replacement was, but he ended up getting injured midway through last season, and he's out completely this season. So, your backup is not there. So some young shoes are going to have to come in and fill a role if he goes out. So there's some definite holes there. How much of an impact do you think, is it DKB, isn't that what they call him?
You mean DGB?
DGB.
Dorial Green Beckham?
There we go.
Yeah, I think that...
how much of an impact do you think he's going to play?
Well, I think that Pinkel's going to find ways to get the football in his hands. The more he touches the football, the better off that they'll be. I mean, he is a freakish talent, very, very skilled. I think that jumping from the high school ranks to college, it'll be a little bit of an adjustment for him. He'll be challenged more, obviously, in the college game. But I do think he'll have a pretty successful season and will do well for them. I think where you'll see this kid do well is in his sophomore season, his junior season. I'd say that there's a slim chance he'd play beyond that in college. He would probably jump to the pros at that point. But I think for him, probably his best years are next year and the year after. I think he'll be one of those special players. That'll be hard to stop.
Do you think he's, one of those? He's the new prototypical professional NFL wide receiver, tall, fast, big, strong. That's what you're getting now. It's not just the speed guys in the NFL anymore.
Right.
And he fits that bill for them. One advantage that he has, I think, is that if you look at the roster of what's setting there in wide receiver, 5 of the other 6, counting him in wide receivers, are juniors or better.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a lot of experience on that team that's going to be able to help bring him along slow. So I don't think that they have to have him in day one to be an every down wide receiver to come in and play those plays, that they're going to be able to work him in to be successful. But you're right. He's like an A.J. Green or a Julius Jones, or what you see now going into the pros, making an immediate impact. He can be that kind of player. But can he make that transition from high school to college to be that impact player from day one? That's yet to be seen.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to have a great career in college, and I think he's just almost a slam dunk draft choice in a couple of years down the road.
Yeah.
So it'll be cool to see his development in the next couple of years.
Well, so I think we've agreed that there's a good chance that Missouri will go bowling. It depends on where they go, 6, 7, or 8 wins. You've got them at 6-6 as we broke it down, so that's getting them to a Music City or Liberty Bowl type of scenario. So be curious to see how they actually end up. But we'll go on and switch gears, since we mentioned the fact that you're not upset that Dorrell's not a Razorback. He's not the only person that people wanted to see with the Razorback jersey or Razorback hat, I'll say, stay there, and that's your head coach. You've had some changes go there. You want to kick things off and talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, obviously we're not going to be able to just talk about Arkansas's personnel and the fact that they do have a team that's capable of winning the SEC because of their offseason with their former head coach who went on a motorcycle ride with his girlfriend, had his accident. Everybody pretty much knows the story and everything that happened
at
that point.
I know it's old news now, but coming as an Arkansas fan, do you think if he would have came out from the beginning and told the truth, he would have been able to stay and keep his job?
I think there's...
do you think it's more the impropriety or more the cover-up?
I would say probably a little bit of both. What he does with his personal life is his own business, but the fact that he hired this person played a hand in hiring this person for a position within the university, obviously it came across as something that was just unacceptable.
Right.
They really, some people say, well, they really didn't have a choice. Well, sure, they had a choice. They could have kept him. I think some schools would have probably just covered it up and just moved on and not said anything about it. But if you do that, there's employment issues, there's legal issues, things behind the scenes that you're going to have to deal with if you try to cover it up. So,
well, Penn State's a prime example of trying to cover things up. In today's time, it's nearly impossible to cover up something that's that egregious. We'll say. When you hire somebody with the Freedom of Information Act, because that's how it got found out. It was a reporter that found out that he had hired her. Or had a hand in it, basically because of the information he was able to go through and comb out and see what was, who knows what rat hole he was looking down to find that, but sooner or later, somewhere down the road, it would come out.
Sure, and I guess in to deal with it in April, I guess it's better to address it there than to find out middle of November when you're about to go play LSU.
Right.
It was damage control. Obviously, it changes things as far as season outlook for Arkansas because, some people had them ranked as high as in, some top 5 polls before all this happened. But of course now I think everybody's going to drop them a little bit because you just don't know, which game on the schedule is this going to become a factor that they do not have Bobby Petrino as their coach John L. Smith, who is taking over, it's kind of like having the crazy uncle in charge of your team. You just don't know, what's going to happen. I mean, it may work really, really well. They may not skip a beat because by bringing in Smith, they really don't mess with the continuity of the staff. The same staff is in place, same scheme is in place. You're not going to see anything that much different from this year's team than you saw from the last couple of years.
And if you're not an Arkansas fan or follow Arkansas very, very deep, he was a former assistant on the program, just a year removed, correct?
That's right. He was the special teams coach there last year, and he took the head coaching position. I think it was at Weber State. It's where I think that's where he graduated from college, where he's from. So he went there for, I guess, a couple of months and then came back. It's pretty clear to me that the goal is to have him as a stopgap, a Band-Aid for the next several months, keep the program together, and they're probably going to make another hire in December or January out of, who knows who their next coach is going to be.
Now let me ask you, if this scenario was different and all of this happened at, we'll say, South Carolina, would Arkansas entertain hiring a Petrino if that was, or we say, and I know Spurrier didn't do this, but Spurrier did the same thing that Petrino did, and he was let go at South Carolina. Would they look at the situation and say, he's a coach we need, we're going to hire him?
I don't know. I'm not sure how to answer that. Maybe. I think it would just depend on the situation. I would say that Petrino will be rehired.
Yeah, and that's kind of the road I was going down.
Yeah.
I think if you look at an SEC school, I don't think they would be afraid to take him next year.
Right.
If the right position opened up, that he could find another home.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, let's say things don't work out at Tennessee with Dooley and they fire him or he resigns, whatever. I think that they would strongly consider someone like Petrino. And, of course, now that Petrino's been terminated by University of Arkansas's contract, which had a clause in it to where he couldn't go
coaching the SEC.
Coaching the SEC, that's null and void, so he could easily go to another SEC school next year. I think he'll probably be out of coaching for a while. Maybe take a head coaching position with a smaller program for a while, and then jump to a bigger program. But when you think about potential openings, Tennessee, if things don't work out for Dooley.
Yeah, if you look at those coaches on the hot seat this year.
Yeah. Tennessee could make a change if things don't work out with Dooley. Mac Brown could retire at Texas. Would Texas hire somebody like Bobby Petrino? I think that those schools probably would.
They don't have a coach in waiting any longer, I don't think.
I don't think so.
Now that Muschamp, I don't think they replaced his title with anyone there in Texas.
Yeah.
Let's think in the SEC. Are there any other programs out there that you think someone's on the hot seat that he would go to?
Well, one, and it's kind of funny because he was at Louisville, but what if Kentucky made some sort of a change?
I don't know if they would take him. Yeah. Only because, unless it's that, there's such a bad taste in Kentucky fans because Rick Pitino went to Louisville. And, basically Petrino did the same thing except that, he made a second stop. Pitino went to the Celtics, then went to Louisville. And Petrino went to Atlanta, now Arkansas. Would he go to Kentucky? He would be 2 schools removed.
Yeah.
But I would think that there's always that possibility. Kentucky's at a position where they have the facilities, they have the fan base. They just don't have the winning season. They brought in a Hal Mummy. Look what that did for them. We're not afraid to go on probation in Kentucky to get some wins. And so I wouldn't eliminate him from the conversation, but as a Kentucky fan, I wouldn't want to see them bring in somebody that was at Louisville.
Okay.
But that's Louisville talk. That's a Kentucky fan talking. That's not the AD at Kentucky.
Right.
He's got other concerns besides where his last jobs were.
Right. Well, Petrino was making a substantial amount of money at Arkansas. He had signed a new contract and was set. I mean, basically, what he did was just a boneheaded move on his part, because it does throw his future into doubt. His future earnings are in doubt. If he does coach somewhere else, he's probably not going to get the money that he was getting.
There's a pay cut.
Yeah, there's a pay cut involved in this. But I think that a lot of programs would consider hiring him if the price was right and the situation was right. I think they would bring him in, because this is just a general comment that I've heard from so-called experts out there, sports writers talking about the Arkansas job and the potential that it has. And they said, well, Petrino made that one of the top jobs in the SEC in a very short time.
Yes.
It's going to be a desirable job. And so what he brings to the table is basically he will bring some attention to your program, whether you want it or not. I mean, some of it's going to be negative because of his reputation. But there's a reason why Arkansas is considered to have one of the better teams this year in the SEC, and it's because of him and his mark on the program and what he's left behind. It'd be great to just talk about the personnel, obviously, but we can't because of what Petrino did. I think SEC Media Days is this week.
Yes.
When John L. Smith gets up there, what are they going to talk about? They're going to talk about what we're talking about right now, because people like controversy. They like, to hear about and think about and talk about people's troubles that they're having. And obviously, it's been a very rocky off season for Arkansas.
Well, and that's the biggest story. And if you look at, and to me, it's the biggest story that's been happening. I don't know how much you listened to the podcast last year, but I was a huge Arkansas touter. I was on the bandwagon big time. I had them going to the national championship game. I was trying to figure out scenarios where it could happen, and it's because, like you said, the people that they have there. Petrino is a great coach. That's the area that what I see is the void. What he did aside, he was a great ball coach in the ball game, making changes and adjustments and calling plays. He was incredible. I mean, he did a lot of great things at Arkansas. I don't know what John L. Smith can do in that situation as a game time coordinator, running that program in the middle of that game, making those adjustments. How can John L. do in that position? That's where, to me, it's a conversation. It's not what he did or how he's going to do at the next place. It's because of what he did is put Arkansas in a position that might cost them a game or two.
Right.
Because you can look at their talent. I mean, I was, on my research here, I pull it up. There's all kinds of preseason watch lists, and it's littered with Arkansas Razorbacks. Mm-hmm. You've got your top punter, which, we're going to start at the bottom here.
Right.
But, even your punter is on the Ray Gutty watch list. I mean, was that Dylan Breeding?
Right.
So you've got 3 people on the Maxwell Award list. You've got 6 people in the SEC on the Heisman Trophy list. 2 of those are Arkansas Razorbacks. And we're talking about Tyler Wilson and Al Davis. Mm-hmm. So from a talent standpoint, you guys are and we're not even talking about the folks that didn't make some of these lists.
Right.
You still have a strong wide receiver core. Got a great defense. But to me, it's those game time decisions that are now going to be lacking. And you can tell me what you think about John L. and how well can he do in that?
John L. Smith, I thought he did a pretty decent job at Louisville. He went on to Michigan State, and a lot of Michigan State fans would say that John L. pretty much melted down. When the pressure was on, he melted down in key situations. So
if that's the case, he's got that week in and week out with Arkansas.
Right, and I think that's probably something that's been hanging over his head for a while. Maybe he wants to prove people wrong, or maybe John L's just going to sit back and let the coordinators handle a lot, and he's just going to be a hands-off CEO type coach. I mean, we don't know. one thing that is particularly bothersome to me, I guess it came out maybe last week or the week before, and I don't know if you guys talked about it, but John L. Smith, and it is kind of personal business, but he's filing for bankruptcy. He's bankrupt because he put a lot of money into real estate, did a lot of real estate stuff in Kentucky, and everything's just gone belly up. So he's broke and filing for bankruptcy, and he made the comment that he's had a lot of sleepless nights dealing with it, and
that could have been weighing on his shoulders up in Michigan. I mean,
well, I don't know how long this has been going on,
but the economic downturn. I mean, if he's heavily invested in real estate in Kentucky, you would think he did that before he left.
Yeah.
So he's watching his portfolio shrink and cash flow issues happening.
Yeah, so maybe by just saying, hey, I'm broke and I'm going to file for bankruptcy, takes the weight off of his shoulders and it doesn't bother him anymore. I don't know. But it's just another potential distraction that could become an issue, down the line. And I hate to talk about all this crap off the field that's going on, but you can't ignore it either. I would love to say this is a 2-game season for Arkansas, Alabama and LSU. They play Alabama in September. They play LSU in November. They got both of them at home. I would love to be able to say it comes down to those 2 games, but that's not going to happen. Like you said, all the watch lists and the talk, the preseason All SEC is out. The coaches All SEC list, and there's 10 Razorbacks on that list.
4 first team,
and you've got 4 on the first team. Of course, the running game is going to be a key for them. A lot of people talk about Tyler Wilson, and he had a great year last year, but he also got knocked around a lot and took a lot of abuse. And he still, stayed in there and made throws and made plays, but they've got to figure out ways to get pressure off of him. And running the football with Nile Davis and Dennis Johnson, who is on the All-SEC list as a returner, he's the second-team running back. Of course, he was the starter last year. And, those 2 guys are going to have to stay healthy, and they're going to need to run the football more, in my opinion, to take some pressure off Tyler Wilson. If they can do that, they've got great targets to throw to, big wide receiver Kobe Hamilton, and Chris Gregg at the tight end position. These are big, fast guys, huge targets. And they can have a lot of success on offense, provided that they can run the football. And then defensively, they do lose, Jerry Franklin, Jake Beckett. Those were heavy contributors on defense last season and in years past. Jerry Franklin basically saved Arkansas's bacon against Vanderbilt by returning a fumble all the way for a touchdown late in that game.
Made the ESPYs. I don't think he won, but
yeah. Defensively, they've got guys like Alonzo Highsmith coming back. They do have experience in the secondary. Their defensive line's pretty good. I mean, their first team defense is fine. Second team, I don't know. It's kind of a question mark. It's always been a question mark for them the last couple of years, but I always contend that Arkansas's defense does not have to be great. They just have to be decent. I mean, if anybody thinks that they have a bad defense, well, they won 21 ball games the last 2 years, so their defense isn't that bad. But I'm not going to sit here and say that it's that great either. Obviously, Alabama and LSU in the Western Division with Arkansas, they win by defense.
Yes,
a heavy pressure up front. And really dictating the tempo on defense. Arkansas is completely different. They want to dictate the tempo and the pace with their offense and attack on offense. So it's a completely different philosophy than what you'll normally see from a traditional SEC power. So I could see that there's some skepticism about what they can really do. Can they win more than 9 or 10 ball games this year is a big question. And, of course, with the coaching situation, that makes it even more of a bigger question. I mean, can they go beyond 9-3 or 10-2? My gut feeling is no, that they can't. 9-3, 10-2 is probably where they're going to end up.
And where do you think that's third in the West?
Probably so, but some of that depends on who they lose to, because when we'll get to the schedule, but if they're 10-2, but they split against Alabama and LSU, and let's say they lose at South Carolina, then that puts them at 2 losses,
5-1 in the West,
right? And so it just depends on what happens with the rest of the schedule. But Alabama and LSU are at home, which is great. They should win the rest of their home games, and then they've got 4 games on the road. All of them are going to be pretty tough, at Texas A&M, at Auburn, at Mississippi State, and at South Carolina. So, if they could split between Alabama and LSU and go 3-1 on those road games, then they're probably going to finish 10-2. Well, they will finish 10-2. But if they lose another road game, maybe they go 2-2 on that road stretch, then they're going to go 9-3. So, it's going to be interesting to see. I think they're going to put up a lot of points like they usually do. And it's really good to see Niall Davis come back. I mean, he was out last year, and a lot of people thought that Arkansas was done for when Niall went down last year before the season started. They thought, well, that's really gonna screw them up. And and they lost Ryan Mallett. So what are they going to do at the quarterback position? Well, they went 10-2. Well, they went 11-2 actually, but they went 10-2 in the regular season, and were playing on the last game of the season for a shot at the national title. So losing Niall Davis last year really didn't affect them that much. I mean, it would have been great to see what they could have done with Niall Davis, but
would have been a good addition.
Yeah, absolutely. But now this year there's more questions. It's like 3 years ago it was, yeah, you're telling me that Arkansas is going to be good, but they're probably just like Ole Miss in 2008. They're going to flop. They went to the Sugar Bowl. Well, I think Arkansas is going to be good again this season. Well, they lost Ryan Mallett. Well, they've lost. Niall Davis is down to injury. They go 11-2. Again, we're faced with the same situation. There's some preseason hype about their personnel. They're on all the watch lists and everything. But there's the coaching situation. It's like another excuse to throw out for, well, I don't know if they're really going to be that good because Bobby Petrino's not there. And I'm kind of buying into that this season. Actually, I think they're going to be affected by not having him on the sidelines. So
yeah, I would have to totally agree, and I've already voiced my opinion on that matter. I've got 2 questions for you. The first one's an easy answer. The A&M game, they're not playing in Dallas this year, are they? They're going to College Station.
They are going to College Station.
So right. They don't have the luxury of a neutral field for that game. So, but that was a home game last year for Arkansas, technically, right?
I wouldn't say it was a home game. It's neutral. I mean, it was in Arlington.
But one team has to be home, one has to be away.
That's true, but the ticket sales are split right down the middle. Yeah.
But they are in College Station this year, so that's irrelevant either way.
Mm-hmm.
The second question is, you mentioned that Arkansas's MO is to control the tempo by their offense, not by their defense. And are you saying that they want to, and this is my impression, they were always one that seemed to score quick. If you wanted to control your offense, it would be one of those where you were precise, a lot of short passes, running game, wearing down a defense. I don't see that out of Arkansas. Can you explain a little more how they affect the tempo with their offense when you've got a defense that's not on the field that long?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of different philosophies with football and how you control the game. We talked about Alabama and LSU using their defense to control things and to wear you down that way. What I mean when I talk about Arkansas controlling things with their offense, defensively, if you look at their history in the SEC, defensively they've never really been that deep. Now they've had some good defenses, but not on the level of like an Alabama or an LSU.
Right.
So I think that when Petrino came in, he just realized, well, I'm probably not going to be able to match people or match the top teams in the SEC with defensive personnel, but we can really push the issue with our offense. Because offensively, if you look at Arkansas the last couple of years, I mean, there are situations in ball games where they just completely overmatch the lesser teams because their defenses cannot keep up with what Arkansas's offense is doing. So they wear down lesser teams by putting up points quickly in the first half. Petrino's philosophy was we'll try to score fast and get up, and then in the second half we'll run the football more. It was kind of like a power spread was what it was. I don't think you'll see anything different from them this year offensively. I think you'll see more passing in the first half and more running in the second half with guys like Niall Davis and Dennis Johnson to control the clock. So I just think their philosophy is they want to get up early and get up by several scores and then manage the flow of the game from that point and maybe run the football a little bit more, get a few stops on defense. And you kind of touched on their kicking game, which is pretty good. I mean, they do have a solid punter.
Yeah.
But they've got a good field goal kicker too. They will have to replace Joe Adams at the punt return spot. But they also look to do some stuff on special teams as well, make some plays there to sort of flip the game around, maybe block a punt or get a nice punt return, things like that. Or even the punter pinning the other team deep, because Arkansas's defense, they will bend, but they try not to break. Maybe they'll give up 20 or 30 yards, but if they pin you deep, it really doesn't matter.
They're still not at field goal range.
Yeah. Then the other team has to punt it back to that offense,
and that's the time of possession comes into play at that point, because that eats, when you do that. And you're effectively able to pin someone deep and keep them to have a few drives and then punt the ball back without a field goal or a score. You've effectively ran off 3 to 5 minutes of play time on the game clock, and you can do that a couple times a half. You can really control the amount of time that they're on the field. So that's a good point with the Razorbacks. Anything else you want to add to this as far as we've talked about the schedule. We'll go through that schedule real quick, and then we'll wrap some things up and see where we think they'll actually end up with as far as wins and losses. So Jacksonville State's their first game.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fairly easy win there.
And University of Louisiana Monroe.
I would say that's a win.
But then the third game is, like you said, Alabama.
Yeah, it's. A lot of people are gonna look at that game and let's say if Arkansas loses, they're gonna think, well, their season is over. But actually, if they lost that game, they lost to Alabama 2 years ago at home in a very, very tight ball game, and then turned around and beat LSU on the last game of the season to get a BCS bid. So it's not the end of the world if they lose that game. But I'm actually gonna pick them to win that game.
And if you look at Alabama, they actually start the season off with a tough matchup. They play Michigan in Texas. They play at Jerry's facility.
Right.
And Michigan's not going to be a bad team this year. So they're starting off with no cupcake type of opponent. Now they do get a reprieve the second week by playing Western Kentucky before they come to Arkansas. But they're going to enter the fire fast with 2 of their first 3 games being a huge matchup for them. What about Rutgers?
Interesting non-conference matchup there. I'm actually kind of glad that they got a team like Rutgers on the schedule. It's a bit unusual. Next year they're going to go up to New Jersey to play them. That'll be an interesting road game. I'm going to say that's a win. They're at home. If they were going to Rutgers right after Alabama, I don't know. Maybe that's an upset, but I think they'll probably win that game.
And then they go to College Station.
Yeah, I think Texas A&M with the losses that they have, I think that Arkansas is going to go there and win that game.
Auburn.
Tough to say. I really want to say that's a push, but I do think on paper Arkansas is better than Auburn this year, and I think they will win.
So you've got them starting 6-0.
That's right.
We're going to give them Kentucky as well.
Yes.
And Ole Miss?
Yes.
Tulsa?
Win.
At South Carolina?
Loss.
At Mississippi State?
They have had a lot of good success against Mississippi State, and I actually think that they're going to lose that game. I think they're going to get upset.
So, so you're saying back-to-back losses, South Carolina, Mississippi State.
Yep.
Are they going to make it 3 in a row to end the season with LSU?
I think they're probably going to lose that game.
So you think they're going to go 9-3 and lose their last 3 games?
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to affect their psyche to go three losses in a row if that happens?
I think that'll be pretty devastating to start off like that and then lose 3 straight to end the season. But I believe they're going to split between Alabama and LSU. So let me just say, if they lost to Alabama,
that was my question. If you had your druthers,
right,
would you rather them lose to the national championship Alabama Crimson Tide and win against LSU,
right,
or the other way around?
Well, in my mind, again, I said 2 years ago they lost to Alabama early at home, then they beat LSU at the end of the year to get a BCS bid.
Right.
So it seems that if you lose early, it's more beneficial than if you lose late. So I think that I would actually rather beat LSU than beat Alabama with this schedule. However, I just don't think it's going to turn out that way for them. I think they're going to start off well. I think they do have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and they want to prove people wrong. And I think they're going to start out really, really fast and then fizzle at the end. Still, 9-3 is not terrible.
No.
It's just the way that that you do it. It's like it was in 2006. Arkansas got killed by Southern Cal in the first game, and then won 10 straight, and they were 10-1, and had won the SEC West. They were playing LSU at the end of the year, and LSU beat them, and LSU got a BCS bid. Then Arkansas lost to Florida in the SEC title game, and then they lost to Wisconsin and Orlando in their bowl. So they were 10-1 and finished 10-4. And so at the end of the season, it was just like, this just doesn't feel good. And I think you could see the same thing happen this season, something similar. If they go 11-1, John L. Smith's going to get hired as the full-time head coach. And,
right.
What do you do then if John L. Smith is your coach beyond this season?
That was another question I have, and I pose that to the Tennessee guys. How many wins does Dooley need this year to keep his job? How many wins does John L. need at Arkansas to be the permanent head coach? Because he
would need 11.
10's not going to do it. 10-2.
I don't think so. I think if he won 11, I think it would in 11 in the regular season. I think it would be really hard to say, we're not going to hire you full time. I mean, is that really fair?
Well, we have to admit, 11-1 of the regular season is going to have them at least tied for the SEC West championship.
Probably, and in the national title mix, possibly, just depending on what happens, in the other.
Theoretically, they could lose to South Carolina and beat Alabama and LSU, and they would win the West.
Right.
So, I mean, 10. But you think 10 wins is not going to get him a job?
I don't think so. That would be a very good performance on his part if they won 10 ball games. I mean, heck, if they finish 9-3 but win their bowl, that's 10. They're going to have 10 wins. But I do think that Arkansas is probably going to try, at least take a couple of shots at bigger names just to see,
test the waters,
if there's an interest there. And I still think that 11 wins would secure John L. Smith's future employment at Arkansas. Otherwise, he's probably out of there after this year.
But do you think for John L's position, if he's able to bring Arkansas to a 10-win season and he's not named the permanent head coach, that should land him a pretty decent job, you would think.
It could. He's a little bit older, but I think it would get him another coaching gig somewhere. I
mean, look at what Rich Brooks did at Kentucky. I mean, he was older when he came to Kentucky and brought them to a solid performing program. I mean, it was nothing. They're not competing for the East every year, but they went to 7 straight bowl games, 6 of them under his tutelage. So, I mean, there's that opportunity for him if he can do that. I would hate to be that individual, to be in John L's shoes, to know that I took a team to 10 wins and wasn't going to be the coach the next year.
That's true. The fan in me would just say, how responsible was he for collecting that talent?
But we've both admitted here that Petrino is such a in-game great ball coach that could potentially cost them a couple games this season.
Right.
So if he's able to win those games, that means that he did a good job coaching. Mm-hmm. So and it's interesting, and that's why we do podcasts, and that's why there's sports broadcasters, to have these conversations as to the what ifs. Because if we talk about the past, nobody's interested in that.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time to come out here, and like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, that you have your own business, and if anyone's interested, what we do is we end our podcast with an open mic. So it's anything that you want to talk about. If you want to tell everybody a little bit about what you do, I keep up with you on Facebook, and you've got such a great program there. But you own Tennessee Kettle Bell, that's located here in Franklin, Tennessee. You want to tell the folks a little bit about that for your open mic, or is there something else you'd rather talk about?
Yeah, Tennessee Kettle Bell has been around. We've been around for about 4 years now. We started back in 2008, and originally, when we began our business, we were in a parking lot, is where we were training people. We're a fitness facility. That's what we are. We do group classes and semi-private training. Our main tool that we use for training is the kettlebell. We use the RKC School of Strength training. You can find out more about this and what all that means on our website, TennesseeKettlebell.com, and also, like you said, on Facebook. We've got a lot of pictures and videos and things like that. You can go there and check it out. But basically, we are about getting high-end results for our clients, increasing their mobility, stability, and strength. We've had some wonderful results. Very satisfying, when you reverse somebody's diabetes, when you take 40 pounds off of their body, when you change their outlook, when we're in pain, just getting out of bed in the morning to where they feel better overall physically. It's been very rewarding to see all the changes that we've made and how we've helped people. And and if anybody wants to check us out, you can go to our website, go to our Facebook page. We got a lot of free reports and stuff you can look at there if you want to learn more about us.
Well, I can say that this is not a body by Tennessee Kettle Bell, but I have seen some of your transformations, and you've taken some individuals that I know that I thought had a great body, and they're night and day, and it's just that much better. So you guys do some incredible work over there, over at Tennessee Kettle Bell. And if you're in the Franklin area, I definitely encourage, if you're at all interested in fitness and health, they're more than just getting your body in shape. It's about doing the right things over there. I definitely urge you to go check those guys out. And guys, with that, I'm going to use that as my open mic to give another testimony there about the quality of work that they do over there. But if you want to know more, check them out at TennesseeKettlebell.com. If you want to keep up with us, we're on Facebook as well, SECSRT, Twitter, SECSRT. Look us up, check our tweets, follow us. Join the conversation. We urge you to do that. That's the easiest way for us to know what you like and what you dislike. We have no way of knowing what you think of what we're doing unless you tell us. So we urge you guys to do that. If anyone's still listening, we urge you to go to iTunes. Go out there and just give us a review, whether it's good, bad, indifferent. We would love to get some extra stuff out there on iTunes. I know that's how they rank things over there in the Apple world. And believe it or not, if you do a search for SEC Sports, we're on the top 4 or 5 podcasts up there, and you're up against the likes of ESPN and CBS Sports. So we got to be pretty happy with that, but we'd love to increase those rankings and get this out to more people to listen. And with that, guys, we're calling this podcast done.